Have you ever caught yourself convinced that people are talking about you, only to realize that it's quite possibly just your imagination running wild? Today's episode is all about the quote, gossip games, unquote, that we play in our own head, how our mind creates some of these imagined scenarios that are literally not even close to what's happening in real life. Also, why this is a perfect episode for she's probably talking to other guys. Keep listening because we're going to take apart the idea of why we assume the spotlight's always on us and tips for how to break free from the stress that our imagined drama causes us. Whether they're talking about you or they're not, life goes on, so keep listening. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of She's Probably Talking to Other Guys. If this is your first time here or you've been here for the entire journey so far, thank you for tuning in. This is a really exciting journey that I am on, and I'm so happy that you are coming along for the ride with me. Make sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss a thing about She's Probably Talking to Other Guys. Last week's episode was all about comparison. The name of the episode was Stop Comparing Your Chapter 2 to Someone's Chapter 20. If you haven't tuned in yet, give that episode a listen. That is number 6, where we discuss comparison and I offer a few tips and tricks for how to help handle those moments when you find yourself getting kind of down on yourself because you've been comparing yourself to someone else. Just a friendly reminder, I am not a therapist, psychologist, or expert in human behavior. Everything shared here is based on personal experience, opinions, and a lot of conversations over coffee with friends. If you're struggling with something deeper, I always recommend seeking professional help in chatting with a licensed professional. This is a judgment free, assumption checking zone, so take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Let's get into episode number 7, Gossip Games in Your Own Head. The first portion of this episode is going to be, why do we assume we're the center of the conversation? There is actually a reason why we feel this way, and there's something called the spotlight effect. So, the spotlight effect is when our brains exaggerate how much people notice or talk about us. I mean, there's like common phrases like the world doesn't revolve around you, things like that. That's definitely related to the spotlight effect. Also, in like sales trainings and things like that I've been in, it was all about like 90-10. So 90% of the conversation should be about your client or your customer, and literally only 10% should be about you, because our natural tendency tends to be that we talk about ourselves or we focus on ourselves before we focus on other people. So again, that's kind of like the idea of the spotlight effect. And obviously, for businesses to come up with the 90-10 theory, they know that people tend to focus on themselves, which is why in sales, they teach people the 90-10. So you actually stop focusing on yourself and what's happening in your life for a moment in order to focus on someone else. So when it comes to the spotlight effect, the idea is that we become hyper aware and almost hyper obsessed about what we're wearing, what our hair looks like, what we smell like, what's happening around us specifically. We notice how many people are staring at us. We notice if conversations have stopped the second that we've entered a room. Those, I'm sure a lot of people have had experience with. And that's when the overthinking definitely kicks in. I walked into a room a few weeks ago now, and literally all the conversation stopped and everyone stared at me. And I started overthinking. Like, seriously, I did, because I couldn't understand what the heck was going on. All I did was walk in the room. So then, of course, I was like, oh my gosh, were they talking about me? What in the world? And Then me being me, I kind of just like looked over and smirked, and then I kept going because I did not like whatever was going on in that room. It was awkward, it was uncomfortable. It made me paranoid that people were staring at me. I mean, they were staring at me, but the paranoia was more like, why are you staring at me? But I didn't want to engage. So me being me, I kind of just like gave a look and a little smirk, and I kept walking and I went into another room because I am not about that energy in my life. Absolutely not. So the spotlight effect definitely will start to play some games in your head, because then of course, yeah, I was wondering like what the heck was that about? That was really weird. That was really uncomfortable. What are they saying about me? And then of course, naturally, you go down the rabbit hole and you think about what your interaction with those people has been recently, if there was any. And then you start imagining conversations that they might be having about you, when in reality, I have no idea why they were looking at me. I have no idea why the conversation stopped. I genuinely like don't know. So so the trick for me was I really needed to take a step back and just not wonder like what was going on. I need to just let them do whatever they're going to do, say whatever they're going to say, and I'm not part of the conversation, so it's none of my business. And that is so much easier said than done. So me saying that right now does not imply that that is easy whatsoever. That comes from me like repeating it over and over and over and over and over in my head and trying to distract myself with so many other things that I forget about what just happened. If you find that you really struggle with this concept, I mean, I hope that this doesn't happen to you that often, that you keep walking into rooms and people like keep staring and getting silent and making you self-conscious. But I think part of it is you have to remember that if you feel like the spotlight's always on you, then other people probably feel the same way. So maybe you walked in and now this other person's sitting there and they're second guessing what their hair looks like or what they're wearing and if you're going to like it. So you really never know. And I think that that's one of the tricky pieces when it comes to handling this spotlight effect. Past experiences definitely can cause a lot of paranoia and creating kind of imaginary scenarios in our own head. Unfortunately, yes, like I am someone who has had to deal with a lot of that. There's been a lot of gossip, a lot of drama, so many rumors that I heard. And I was like, really? I did that? Because I don't remember doing that, but you're telling me that I did, which I find very interesting. So, definitely, I'm someone where when it comes from a past experience, if I run into someone and I know that this person has been a part of rumors about me or a part of gossip about me, that makes me extremely uncomfortable. Um, I do get really quiet. I don't really say much around this person because I know that they were part of something in the past. And in my mind, I don't want to go down that road again. I have no idea why people felt the need to say what they said about me. I don't know. I know now that none of it came from a good place. So when I encounter these people, because the universe feels the need to stress me out, and for some reason makes me randomly encounter these people in real life and on social media. Uh, I know now that I need to be really conscious of what my next thoughts are going to be, because my immediate thought is, oh, great, this person's here now. They saw me. Now, are they going to start all this over from scratch? Are they going to try to start talking about me and spreading more rumors about me like they did in the past to this other group of people now? Like, my initial thought is, do I have to wonder if I'm going to need to like go through this whole process of defending myself again for what? And I think that that's something that's really hard when it comes to a past experience, because yes, people can change, but some of like this, for example, yes, I'm thinking of a specific person that I encountered, but this person never apologized for anything. This person never said anything to me after they participated in all of the rumors and nastiness that was spread about me. So in my mind, I don't know that this person has changed, and I don't really think it's any of my business to find out because I don't want this person in my life anymore. And all I can really do at this point is trust that these other people know me well enough to not believe anything that this person has to say about me. And it's really hard because, yes, I joke about my RBF, and I do have one, but at the end of the day, this is like not a pat on my back, by the way, whatsoever, but I want other people who feel the same to be able to relate and kind of like take a breather. I am literally one of the most caring people that you will ever meet. Literally. My heart is so big. I try so hard to go out of my way for other people to make sure that other people are happy. That is just me. Yes, I have been working on not being so much of a people pleaser. I have been a bit more selective about who I go out of my way for. That's been part of like my work since recovering from all of this craziness that entered my life a few years ago. When I saw this person, it immediately took me back to that place where I was like, oh, great. Now I get to spend all of my energy defending myself again. And no, not this time around. And that's what I need to remind myself of is that there's no reason to defend myself because I never did any of that in the first place. And if someone's going to believe what this person is going to say about me, then those people don't belong in my life either. Those people clearly have no concept of who I am and what I stand for. And now, yeah, am I going to potentially lose more people that I thought were my friends? Maybe. And that's really, really hard. And that's why this ties into gossip games in your own head. Because at the end of the day, people are going to say what they're going to say, they're going to do what they're going to do, and so much easier said than done. You have to ignore it. Uh what was the phrase? I think didn't Taylor Swift say it? The trash takes itself out. And it's true because if people are going to stand there spending time talking about other people, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want that in my life. So if you're someone who likes to sit there and talk about other people, especially spreading rumors and talking bad about people, I don't want you in my life in the first place. So if you enjoy doing that, sayonara. I feel like I need a microphone. Drop that. But yeah, I'm telling you this because if you're someone who has been through this, it's really hard to not get in your head, but you have to try your best to not get in your head because you're a good person. And the right people are going to see that, and the right people are going to ignore what these gossipers are going to say about you. Let's move into some common gossip game assumptions. Number one, they're laughing at me. If you can relate to hearing people laugh and then instantly assuming that they were laughing about you or they were talking about you and laughing and making fun of you, yes, that is a relatable assumption. Um, it's a tricky one. I mean, all of these are going to be tricky because at the end of the day, if you know whether these are actually true or not, you may not ever know, but it's best to just try to shut down these thoughts when you have them. It's not nice to think that people are laughing at you. Number two, they must be talking about what I look like. This is definitely a common one, especially if you're having a day where you're feeling really self conscious about yourself and the way that you look or the way that your body's feeling that day. There are so many reasons that we could have these thoughts. Number three, they think I don't belong here. This is definitely related if you're feeling like an outsider. Maybe you're around a group of people that you're not usually with, and you just think that they're acting a certain way because you're there. In reality, maybe that's not even the reason. Maybe they're having the spotlight effect and they're not even thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. You don't know. Number four, I must have said something stupid. I tend to have this thought quite often. Sometimes I just say things and things just come out and like I just deliver things in a certain way. And yeah, it is just me being me. And I'm not saying that I'm saying mean things or bad things. I'm not. Sometimes I just say stuff and I assume later on that maybe it was stupid to say. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I completely overthink it in my own head. 99.9% of the time, it's fine. And there's literally been no thought on what I said. They even forgot what I said. So, and for in my case, it's best to just like shut that thought down when I have it, because nothing that I say is coming from a bad place. And that's what I have to remember whenever I have that thought. Number 5, they noticed my flaws. This is me when I am having like a really bad hormonal time and my acne is flaring up. I immediately assume that people are like staring at my acne. It's very stressful for me. Number 6, they're judging me for being quiet, or the opposite, they're judging me for being too loud. So this is if you're in a social setting, or maybe it's like one on one and you just don't know if you should be quiet, you don't know if you're too loud, you don't really know how to act necessarily. But at the end of the day, you what's the quote? You have to be yourself and the right people will stick around. And what was the other one? Actually, I saw one this morning. It was something along the lines of, if people think your vibe is off, like don't change your vibe, change the people. Something along those lines. So maybe they're just not your people. I mean, in the case that you're right, or they're literally just not paying attention. They are not even thinking about you. Number 7, they think I'm not good enough. So if you're projecting your doubt, your own self doubt, into what other people are thinking about you, that can be a tricky one, because now you're putting yourself down and you're not only thinking that you see yourself in a bad light, you're thinking that other people see you in a bad light as well. Number 8, they're comparing me to someone else. I think, like, let's talk about, bring this up in like the job hunt right now. So when people are looking for jobs, there are so many people applying, so many people not getting answers about anything, so many people just being pitted against one person or the other person. And I think it's just really tricky to not have thoughts about comparison, especially in like a sense of there's only one job, but there's like 25 applicants. And now you're wondering, like, well, what is it about this person? What is it about that person? And it gets really tricky to start assuming that that's what, that people are comparing you to someone else, which maybe they are. But again, at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about that. It's kind of a situation where it is what it is, and you're not a part of the conversation. So it's easier said than done. You can't control what these people are going to say because you're not a part of the conversation. So you need to try your best to just not think about it. Number 9, they don't actually like me. I think this can be really tricky, especially like as an adult and trying to make new friends as an adult. I feel like it can be really hard to find a group where you fit in, and the doubt can immediately set in if you're not really sure if this is a good group for you or not, or maybe you're trying to talk yourself out of hanging out with this group because you're just assuming that they don't like you. It can be really tricky. Number 10, on the topic of their group chat, I think that you would have had to like actually done something drastic and really dramatic to be the topic of someone's group chat, or other people like truly need to be so bored out of their own mind to take time to discuss someone in a group chat. I could also be completely wrong saying this right now. I do not have the energy or the patience to talk about someone like in real life, face to face, let alone like take my time in a group chat to text about someone. Like I don't have time for that. So for me, I don't know. I feel like this is like quite the assumption, because I don't know what, again, my immediate thought is, wow, if people are going to talk about me in a group chat, they must be like really bored with their own lives to take time to talk about me. So I don't know. That's my thought on that one. Moving on to our next portion, when they're actually talking about you. The hope is that they're not actually talking about you, but if you have some like 100% confirmation, you know that they are, there's a few options that you can go with, right? So, and this is all just based on personal experience, right? So, you can acknowledge it first of all and just see immediately how it makes you feel. So, acknowledge, okay, I know that they're talking about me, and then just think for a second, process it, and see how it makes you feel. Now, in my case, back when this was happening, I felt like I needed to confront it. I felt like I needed to defend myself because what I was hearing that was being said about me, it was not true. And I didn't appreciate all of these rumors being spread about me. I spent a lot of energy trying to prove to these people saying these things that it wasn't true, which, again, now that I look back, like, what a waste of time. These people literally didn't care. They didn't care when they started these rumors about me. They didn't care uh, when I tried to say anything about it and ask them to please stop. Like, they didn't care. So it was a lot of, for me, wasted energy, which is why now I wouldn't confront it. I wouldn't bother. I would, if these people weren't cut off already, I would cut them off from my life completely. And yes, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to overthink it and I'm still going to stress out about it, but I'm not going to let myself get to the point that I got to back when this happened in the past because it's something that I've learned from. So, again, speaking from experience, I wouldn't bother confronting these people. If it was people that I thought were my friends and they were listening and like actually believing other people's drama, I'd have to make a decision of whether it was like worth keeping these people in my life. If their initial reaction was to believe bad things about me, I would probably cut them off because if you know me and you know you've known me long enough to like know the real me, you should know that I wouldn't do those things or you should know that I wouldn't say those things. So therefore I don't want you in my circle anymore. So that's kind of how I would feel about deciding if it mattered or not. I think I would have to make the decision of okay, this probably doesn't matter and I need to let it go. Easier said than done. It's more of an idea of are you going to confront something? Are you going to clarify something? Are you going to ignore something? There's probably more choices than that, but that's kind of what's at the top of my head. So you have to decide like if what they're saying about you is worth your energy. If what they're saying about you is going to like affect you in a way where like you need to say something or you should say something. And this is all very personal. This is all something that you need to think about. It's not something that someone can necessarily tell you what to do on it. You need to decide for yourself how much this is going to affect you, maybe how much you're going to let it affect you. But if you have like true confirmation that people are talking about you, you need to make the decision that's going to help you not overthink the situation as much as possible. Let's take a little bit of time to talk about some mindset shifting that you can work on to help you not feel so stressed out about what you think people are saying about you, or just to help kind of like level down on your paranoia that people are talking about you. So, first things first, let's do like a quick reality check. So we're going to sit down for a second and we're going to think like, what proof do you have that they're talking about you? Let's use my example from before when I walked into a room. I had zero proof anyone was talking about me. None whatsoever. So if your brain is just starting to like fill in some blanks with random thoughts, but none of it is like actual proof that someone is talking about you, in my opinion, it's best to try to just let it go and think about something else. Another idea is to flip the spotlight. So, remembering the idea of the spotlight effect, and that if you are experiencing the spotlight effect, somebody else probably is too. So, maybe they're literally just talking about themselves in the moment. Maybe they're too busy thinking about themselves and you just happen to be like in their line of sight. I mean, I've done that before where I feel like someone's staring at me, but it turns out they've just spaced out and vice versa. I tend to do that all the time. I think about things very deeply, and I tend to space out staring like right at someone. Um, yeah. I don't know. It's just a thing that I do. So if we're ever in a room together and I'm just like staring at you hardcore, I'm probably not actually staring at you. I'm really just like in my mind about something. But anyway, again, that's kind of like the idea is if somebody thinks I'm staring at them and then they think that I'm like thinking stuff about them, spotlight effect, I'm actually just stuck in my own head about something and you happen to be in my line of sight. Number three, replace the story. So instead of assuming the worst, I feel like a lot of times the assumptions tend to go badly more so than like making good assumptions. So instead of trying to think of, oh, I hear people laughing, maybe they're laughing at me, you could just think, oh, maybe they saw a funny video and they're laughing at a funny video. Maybe they're talking about a funny joke. Maybe somebody said a funny joke. Something along those lines. Try to not assume that it's about you. Um, we're going to go back to the whole title of this. She's probably talking to other guys. I stare at my phone and I laugh at my phone all the time. The number one reason is I'm usually talking to my best friend. And I mentioned in a previous episode, our conversations are like unhinged 24/7. We are bouncing from like one topic to another. I laugh so hard and I smile so hard at my phone when my best friend is texting me. And I know that people have seen me do that. And their immediate assumption is that I'm talking to a guy and there is like a guy making me laugh and making me smile. It is actually my best friend uh, making me smile. So again, back to the assumption of she's probably talking to other guys. No, my best friend is making me laugh my butt off per usual. So if you're out somewhere and you see your man or your girl like texting and smiling at their phone, they're probably talking to a friend who's making them laugh. Or they saw a really funny meme. I laugh out loud at memes and videos all the time. I do because they make me laugh and I'm not going to hold it in just so people don't make assumptions about me. I just let it all out. There is definitely, based again on personal experience, power in trying to ground yourself in the present moment. If you're somewhere where you can like do an exercise for grounding, sometimes you can do like deep breathing. Maybe you have experience with different grounding practices and you know something that works for you. Sometimes I will, if again, if you're in the right place, right time, like safe moment, like walk barefoot through the grass. If I'm on the beach, I always love to take time to walk across the beach. I talk all the time on my blog about my sauna blanket. I go in my sauna blanket sometimes if I'm like really having a moment and I cannot get myself to relax. I can't get like my anxiety to tone down. I will literally strip down and have like a whole 40-minute session in my sauna blanket where I can literally just like sweat and clear my mind. For me, that is one of the things that really works for me. You need to know what works for you, but taking a moment to really ground yourself in the present and think like, okay, I need to interrupt this train of thought with something positive because this train of thought is taking me nowhere. So, how can I interrupt this thought with something that is so much more positive and that will give me something beneficial instead of stressing you out and just like overthinking until there's like no overthinking left to be done? Personally, I feel a really powerful tool when it comes to making up scenarios in your own head is to shift out of paranoia and shift more into curiosity. So instead of like, oh, they're talking about me, more along the lines of, oh, I wonder what they're talking about. Curiosity is more lighter. It's easier a bit to like brush off after the thought of curiosity versus paranoia. It kind of just like stresses you out and sits with you. If you think about like being curious, you kind of can turn it into an open ended question. Maybe you have an answer, but it's okay if you don't because you're just curious. For example, again, silly example. I wonder what that coffee tastes like. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe I won't. But it's more like a thought of maybe this, maybe that, and it helps it to keep the thoughts a little bit lighter. Because paranoia can be a real pain. And something I kind of accidentally saved one of my favorites for last. I didn't intend for this to be last. It kind of just came up last. Number 8 would be to zoom out. So, is this moment going to matter? One of my favorite quotes or sayings or phrases, you guys know I do this all the time and I can't like remember to quote it exactly. If it won't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. I love this mantra. I live by it. I try to anyway. Um, I love this one. Sometimes it's referred to as the 5 by 5 rule. So if something happened, I need to take a second, I need to zoom out, and I need to think, okay, is this literally even going to matter in 5 years? No. So is that moment that I mentioned earlier, walking into a room and everyone being silent, is it going to matter in 5 years? No. So I can't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it. Easier said than done, but it's definitely a practice worthwhile because I have put this into like my thoughts and into my daily and weekly life, and it has seriously helped me to really focus on where my thoughts should be and also kind of put a little bit more of like priority to the future. So prioritizing certain things in the present moment because they are going to give me results in 5 years versus thinking, okay, well, this doesn't matter now. It's not going to matter in 5 years. So we're not going to deal with it. We're going to start wrapping up today's episode. The main focus of today's episode was to show you that you're not alone if you're thinking that people are talking about you or you have paranoia, that maybe people are laughing about you, or just that the spotlight is on you. And maybe not so much of a positive way. This episode was more focused on how to help you not to have these negative thoughts that people are talking or thinking about you. So, hopefully, this has given you a few different ideas for ways that you can maybe try to practice not having these assumptions. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, this is something that I feel like you may have to deal with. You may have these thoughts coming in and out of your mind. Uh, People are going to say what they're going to say, they're going to do what they're going to do. And you need to make the decision of how much you're going to let it affect you on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever it might be. Again, speaking from personal experience, I went through a lot when it came to this, and it has been quite the learning experience. So, you have to think of how you're going to let this affect you, what you're going to do to try to help yourself get out of maybe a bad mindset thinking that people are talking about you. If you have confirmation that they actually are, making a decision for whatever is going to give you peace of mind. It took me a while to find my peace of mind again. And yes, I learned a lot. Yes, there are things that I wish I had done differently, but I wouldn't have had the life lesson that I had if things were different. So now I know how to act in these certain situations. Now I know what I would be happy with. Um, but I think there's power in keeping your circle small. So I know that if people were going to try to start rumors about me now, uh, they're kind of ish out of luck. Because my circle is so small, I know that the people in my circle would never say anything badly about me. So now I have peace of mind knowing that if anybody says anything about me, it is false. It is a rumor. It's not true. Because I know who's in my circle, and it is literally like the teeny tiniest little circle you could imagine, and those people wouldn't say anything about me. So At the end of the day, you need to know who's in your circle. You need to feel comfortable with who's in your circle and trust that these people have your back. And then try your best to ignore the noise. And again, easier said than done, but I hope that this episode helped to give you ways to find your peace of mind or help you to not be so paranoid if you think that people are talking about you. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but either way, you've got better things to do because you got to go out there and chase your own dreams. Coming up next, I had an absolutely incredible experience with Sports Illustrated swimsuit, and I am going to dive into an episode purely about that experience and also some assumptions along the way that go with Sports Illustrated swimsuit and thoughts that people had when they found out that I was going to spend the weekend with all of those gorgeous, gorgeous ladies. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so excited that you're here. Excited is like officially my word. I don't know. I need to take out a thesaurus to try to find some other words that get my point across. But I'm so excited you're here. Follow, subscribe, and I can't wait to talk with you more.